the weather forecast with Coloca in its multipurpose banquet hall, Il Palazzo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for taking our time to be part of the weather forecast. Hope you had an excellent day. We will, between tonight and tomorrow morning, have a calm weather dominate the entire nation, with temperatures going down similarly to as low as 16 degrees in the southwest, west, Adamawa, and the far north regions. And we also expect temperatures to get down to 19 degrees in the north and the south regions, with the west region expecting as low as 18 degrees. Onto the center region this evening, there is no chance of precipitation in all the major towns, and by morning would be the same situation, with Fu expecting the least temperature at 21 degrees. And onto the east region, tonight there is no possibility of precipitation in the major towns, and by morning it may drizzle in Abongbang and Yokaduma. And lastly, the northwest region tonight will have no sign of precipitation, and by morning it will be the same thing, with Fundong expecting the least temperature at 14 degrees. You may want to go find out the history of the mysterious lake Nyos in the northwest. Thank you for watching, and do have a great night.
Coming up tonight, the election of mayors takes place all over Cameroon as from today. We shall discover the mayors of Bafoussam 1, 2, and 3 as ELECAM also meets in another session of rights in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. Government cautions against impostors, fraudsters, and tricksters with an alert from the highest office of the land. Such acts of usurpation are said to be a result of poverty and corruption, but they are also punishable. And experts and former indomitable lions say the firepower of their intermediate can enable them to crush Zimbabwe, Mali, and Burkina Faso in group games of CHAN 2020. The details now. Thanks for watching the 7:30 news on CRTV. I am Moki Edwin Kinzaka in Yaoundé. Independence, impartiality, integrity, transparency, and professionalism are the leading guidelines for elections Cameroon. The chairperson of the Electoral Board of ELECAM, Eno Abrams Egbe, was speaking today in Yaoundé during the first Electoral Board meeting as of right after the February 9 twin elections. Kilian Dandifon reports that the imperative of contributing to peace and stability, promoting voters' rights, and enhancing democracy were reiterated at that meeting.
Elections Cameroon's objectives in the 2022 municipal and legislative elections were multifaceted, but the mission was Republican.
The objective of an election is to contribute towards improving the democratic process in order to consolidate peace and stability in the country. Our mission, therefore, combined with the most fervent wish of our fellow citizens, is to enhance the consolidation of democracy, preserve voters' rights through credible, fair, and transparent elections, and promote stability and foster social cohesion in our dear and beloved country.
While the results of the municipal polls have already been proclaimed by the competent supervisory council commissions, the legislative contending parties should exhibit patience.
As concerns the elections of members of parliament, the National Commission for the final counting before the transition to the Constitutional Council, in accordance with Section 168 of the Electoral Code. Like I always say, all candidates are exhorted to show a maximum sense of fair play and restraint, and wait for the proclamation of results by the competent authority, which is the Constitutional Council.
Although there was a lack of collective surveillance at the polling stations, the Cameroonian democratic dynamism is in motion on the world stage.
The democracy of our country is in motion, and the world is watching us. We must therefore, while steering its course, step up our commitment to advance on the path that we have paved for ourselves, most of which remains to be perfected, and we must double the efforts that we have already consented. Independence, impartiality, integrity, transparency, and professionalism are catchwords that must govern the daily efforts of members of this august institution.
The two municipal and legislative elections the board chair underlined are a prelude to the announced first ever regional elections, which are a greater challenge to the electoral process.
Nang Cyril has been elected as mayor of the SDF-controlled Bafoussam 1 council in the West region. The Bafoussam 2 and 3 CBM-led councils have mayors Nkut Levis and Demfoku Daniel. The mayors and their assistants were elected today. Nicolene B. reports from Bafoussam.
The series of elections began with Bafoussam 3 Council, where incumbent CPDM mayor Demfoku Daniel was unanimously elected by all the 31 councillors. He shall be assisted by Madame Jaya Lizette and Mr. Ngawi Anatol. Over at the Bafoussam 2 municipality, Nkut Levis was elected to head the council, replacing former Mayor Tanyin Geko Emmanuel. The 35 CPDM councillors also gave their vote of confidence to 4 of their colleagues to assist the new mayor. The Bafoussam 1 council, taken over by the SDF, shall be headed henceforth by Nang Cyril, voted unanimously by 60 councillors. 6 deputies were elected to assist him. Grand councillors were also elected to represent the municipalities at the Bafoussam City Council. The sessions were presided over by the oldest and youngest councillors, while the SDO for the MIFI, Mr. Shaibu, supervised to ensure the laws were respected. The mayors, who are all businessmen, have promised to work for the well-being of the local population, irrespective of their political leanings.
The government has been cautioning against fraudsters who are using all forms of tricks and forged documents to deceive people. At first, it was the Minister of Decentralization that raised an alarm that scammers were deceiving candidates to municipal elections. A similar alert was made by the Minister, Director of the Civil Cabinet of the Presidency of the Republic, about people forging signatures of senior state functionaries. In her news dossier tonight, Cynthia Saptola reports that the practice is gaining momentum.
There's no money taken, you're only giving money. You gave me money, not take money.
This is one phone call that is all too familiar. On one end, a trickster trying to swindle money from a victim. In Yaoundé, such con practices exist in different forms. There is the SMS from an unidentified number in which the sender claims to have transferred money accidentally.
En fait, je me suis trompé et j'ai envoyé de l'argent par erreur sur votre numéro.
Or that from a supposed acquaintance abroad whose goods are stuck somewhere until a certain sum is paid. These practices are not just common on phone, but also on social media. Ever met Edwin Novaga on Facebook, who is hoping to be a friend? Or the press release with a forged signature from the Director of Customs launching a competitive examination, or concours, as it is wrongly spelled. Gone are the days where the typical Nigerian scam was a thing to watch out for. No more emotional letters from wealthy family members or businessmen asking for help to retrieve money. These days, it is more often phone calls threatening to kidnap family relatives residing in regions in crisis unless a sum of money is paid. With the legislative and municipal elections just ended, fraudsters are now making false promises to candidates claiming to secure them the post of mayor, to the point the Minister of Decentralization himself published a communique February 16, 2020, denouncing such practices, which exposes perpetrators to legal proceedings.
The act of usurpation has continued to gain grounds in the country, with most people attributing it to joblessness, poverty, disregard to meritocracy and corruption. But the penal code punishes the act with prison time of up to 5 years and fines. Emmanuel Vumui has been reading through the law.
They are up and about. Cameroonians of all ages are aware that the act of usurpation is criminal. But why the upsurge in this activity in the country?
It's another system of corruption. There are people who corrupt just to dupe those who are in need.
The fact that there is ambient poverty and lack of jobs in the sphere of the Cameroonian youth are a factor which caused this phenomenon to be on the rise.
You are trained after 10 years, you are not recruited. At the time when you see somebody just coming to do it, you just begin to give in without even thinking.
As for the Cameroonian Penal Code, using someone else's position, title or office to dupe another of anything is criminal.
With regards to usurpation of somebody's office, you determine somebody of his hard-earned money or of anything belonging to that person, of course, you run a risk of going to prison for at least 6 months to 5 years.
There is thus need for a redress.
The fight against corruption should be more rigorous. Somebody comes to you and tell you that I'm private secretary to the Minister of Territorial Administration, they want to make you mayor, and you cough out your money. Tomorrow you should be able to come and denounce that act, so that such people can be punished.
If the government could put in place a solution center through which all jobs opportunities posted by the government pass through, then I think many Cameroonians would verify in this structure for authentication.
Until then, would Cameroonians be free from the hands of those who use the positions, titles, and office of others to dupe them of their hard-earned money?
The 3 winning startups of the best ICT projects at the 2019 ICT Innovation Week, who returns from a professional trip to Dubai that was recently, have been received in audience today by Post and Telecommunications Minister Minette Libom Lilikeng. The developers of Agritech, Smart Scope and Transport Intelligence said their trip pushed them to acquire new skills. Yotsi Kalelisonge has the rest of that story.
From an idea, Agritech, like Smart Scope and Transport Intelligence, became projects with the 2019 maiden edition of the ICT Innovation Week, their springboard to success as startups.
People face the problem of repeating their destinations when they take a taxi, so we want to automate that process. That will be done via the app, and when the taxi is okay with your destination, you get the signal through the app.
All 3 winners of the national competition for the best ICT project in 2019 that saw a total of 15 startups participate. They've just returned from the Ericsson Innovation Hub in Dubai and are grounded in knowledge, having a fresh impetus.
At the ICT Innovation Week, we presented a prototype. Now, we have a mobile app connected to a kit that permits one to take blood for a malaria test. This will be in our hospitals by June.
Innovate, create and dare remains government's challenge to the youth.
I'm inviting young people engaged in ICT to trust government, because when we realized this Innovation Week in 2019, this is for promise, and today this is for reality.
I'm sure there is huge potential from these guys, and I have no doubt that there are many other talent that can also do as much as these guys.
An opinion which these other startups and experts agree with, as the digital economy, they say, is Cameroon's future.
Let's now move to the littoral region, especially the economic capital city Douala, which mirrors a society that has quickly copied Western cultures from television programs added to an environment full of delinquent practices. Mercy Ashu captured the scenes, outfits and environments that preoccupied the mindset of youth, and reports that some were even condemned by the head of state, President Paul Biya, in his last Youth Day message.
Lycée de Nilong Dokpasi is one of several schools in Douala where control mechanisms to check delinquent behavior amongst youth has been reinforced in the last couple of years. In spite of these measures, the school administrators here understand that surveillance cameras alone cannot check latecomers and others who hang out in bars during school hours.
Vous savez que les choses ont changé. Par exemple, à notre époque, on n'avait pas de réseaux sociaux.
You know that during our time there was no social media, and not everyone had access to a mobile phone. Today it has evolved. There were lots of taboos. If you showed signs of a delinquent behavior, you knew what to expect as punishment, especially at home than in school.
The head of State Youth Day message also targets and condemns violent disputes amongst youths, unnecessary expenditures copied from soap operas to keep up with the trends, as is the case with youths who spend their money at Marché Central to look good. Revealing outfits reserved for gala evenings and hair attachments that cost a fortune have become a must-have for most youths who believe they must show off themselves in street corners and beer parlors around the city of Douala.
The youths of MAYORS division of the Far North region said they are ready to engage in the modernization of agriculture as called for by President Paul Biya in his last message to them. They say the presence of the Rice Modernization and Expansion Company in their division is an advantage, but that they need a push. Henry Tato Ekambi reports from MAYORS.
Rice cultivation and commercialization is a principal activity in the MAYORS division of the Far North, and the youths in this division are highly involved in this sector. That is why the head of state's recent address to the youths that called on them to join the moving train of the modernization of the agricultural sector was lauded by the youths in the division. The head of state has greatly encouraged us in his speech. What we need now to develop the agricultural sector is technical support. Yet officials of the Rice Expansion and Modernization Company, SEMRI, located in the division, say the company serves as a booster to the youths as thousands of them get training from the structure. The youths in the rice cultivation sector are only hoping that the state continues as well as increase their help so that Mr. Biya's call will be transformed to concrete results in their lives.
A new zoological garden created thanks to the efforts of the Ngaoundere City Council and its development partners is now open to the public. The governor of the Adamawa region, Kidadi Tageke Bukar, while inaugurating the garden in the presence of the Senegalese ambassador to Cameroon, called on the population to make good use of that facility. Silence Kwine reports from Ngaoundere.
The 12-hectare garden, set up beside the National Road No. 1, features a restaurant, a conference room, an artificial lake, fish ponds, boreholes, a police station, a hotel of 30 rooms, 4 suites, and a zoo. During the inaugural ceremony attended by the Senegalese ambassador to Cameroon, the government delegate to the Ngaoundere City Council, Amadou Dawa, emphasized that the complex is his legacy to his successor and part of the government's efforts to curb deforestation and extend the green belt around the town of Ngaoundere.
A happy man, a proud man.
The governor of the Adamawa, Kildadi Tageke Bukar, while inaugurating the zoological garden, called for discipline and stressed the importance of exploring the touristic and economic potentials of the site.
It's a giant project. It's a great opportunity given to the young people to come here and stay here to enjoy this environment, and I think they will contribute for the development of our area.
The setting up of the beautiful garden, now open to the lovers of nature, was inspired in 2012 by the Bois Saint-Anastasie in Yaoundé.
We continue a series of running reports on Cameroonians and their addiction to telenovelas, with a focus tonight on the impact of soap operas on the society. In Act 2, our reporter Cynthia Etim went downtown to get the views of city dwellers on the impact of such series on their audience and homes. Opinions hold that the impacts are mostly negative, especially on teenagers and in most households. Her report.
Telenovelas, their stories alone can be acted in another movie. In watching these daytime drama, women have created their own movies. For instance, food has cooked to ash, children and husbands have been abandoned to themselves, and family ties broken.
So one time it happened, I was entering the house and nobody saw me, because they were watching telenovelas and it was very captivating for them.
And most of the time you come to a house, you will see the mother with her children, they are there watching. At times they're even food on fire, but nobody will care, it will even burn.
In some homes, these daytime serials have become destructive tools. Moral upbringing has been put to question.
When a child is novelas addict, school performance can drop. And you can also have a kind of high tendency to copy all kind of attitude which is coming from that kind of the television programs.
It's obvious because when you have small children, you have to pay attention on them. If your mind is always or only on those telenovelas, you lose them. You fail in their education.
When a woman is a novelas addict, she cannot give best performance as a spouse or as a wife, because she can lose all her time watching novellas.
Many opinions hold that telenovelas have shifted from being a tool of entertainment to a weapon of discord in homes.
The National Gendarmerie has graduated over 30 transmission second technical capacity certificates of the rank and file. They are expected to contribute to the efficiency of field operations, especially in areas where electrical energy is a problem. The graduation ceremony was chaired today by Brigadier General Daniel Elokobinjok. Kilian Dandifon was there.
Central Director in charge of operations of the National Gendarmerie, Brigadier General Daniel Elokobinjok, at the core head office of the High Command, Schools and Training Centers Kang Yayapin Yaoundé, representing the Secretary of State at the Ministry of Defense in charge of the National Gendarmerie, at the graduation ceremony of the second technical capacity certificate of 32 gendarmes of the rank and file on general knowledge, computer science and telecommunications.
It is a promising domain, so do everything to stay in it. But mark you, no laxity will be tolerated.
It is a special military course.
The 4-week training aims at equipping our technical staff with new knowledge to support field operation forces, especially in divisional areas.
And it's important when there is no signals. If you are in Bafut, for example, it's not easy to communicate with somebody in Bamenda.
Practically, the graduates are ready for field challenge.
There are some certain places that maybe light is not there. It's going to help us to maybe go and install some panels solar there and do some other work that we need to do.
Refresher courses have been announced to keep the graduates abreast of evolving transmission technology.
The management of MTN Cameroon has promised to redouble its efforts in growing and investing so that every person will have access to internet services. This promise was made during celebrations in Douala, marking the 20th anniversary of the #1 company in electronic communications sector in the country. We have details with Sally Ndolo from CRTV Littoral.
The 20th anniversary celebration of MTN Cameroon, leader in the electronic communications sector in the country, was a proud moment for the company's management to thank their customers and partners for their loyalty. The customer number has greatly evolved from less than 5,000 subscribers in February 2000 to 10 million as of December 31, 2019. Today, 9.5 out of 10 Cameroonians live within range of the MTN network, which covers more than 7,400 localities across the country. MTN's deployment has also enabled the significant mobilization of resources for the national economy and state finance. At the social level, MTN Cameroon has created 1,000 direct jobs, while its activity has developed a network of subcontracting and distribution SMEs whose workforce is estimated at more than 200,000 people. In line with its commitment to reach out and better the living standard of communities, the MTN Foundation has invested heavily in education, health, environment, access to potable water and rural development. 20 years after, it is a success story.
It has been a very proud moment for MTN for the last 20 years to be working here in Cameroon and developing and getting so much recognition from our 10 million customers and from the network that we build, which is 4.5G and 4G, and the number of data customers. 2020 will be that year of recognizing the loyalty they've given to us.
Though the leader in the electronic communication sector in the country, MTN Cameroon still faces some challenges like lack of stable fiber optic and internet connection. They are determined to overcome these challenges this 2020.
Some former Indomitable Lions and football analysts have expressed optimism that the Intermediate Lions will sail through from Group A of the African Nations Championship when they will play against Mali, Zimbabwe and Burkina Faso. According to them, home advantage, the quality of the players and their preparations gives them an upper hand over their group opponents. Borden Sama reports.
An average group for Cameroon's Intermediate Lions, who during their first round of the competition will play against Zimbabwe, Mali and Burkina Faso. For some former Indomitable Lions and football actors, Cameroon has a chance to survive in the group and sail through to the next round.
They can, with the preparation they have had and the quality of players they have. The players have to be optimistic, for at this level, Cameroon is ready to play any team. Talking about the players, I think we have all our chances to survive in this group and pick a qualification ticket for the rest rounds.
Taking each opponent one after the other and avoiding any eventual surprise, these football actors think Team Cameroon will have to be cautious against Mali, considered their main rival in the group, and surprise guns like Zimbabwe and Burkina Faso.
It is not an easy group, given we have Mali and Zimbabwe, who play very well and have very good players.
Come April this year, the story of a possible success for Cameroon will be told.
Officials of the 8 teams that make up pools B and C of the 2020 African Nations Championship have expressed satisfaction with sports and lodging facilities in the Douala site. The delegations, accompanied by some CAF officials, say Cameroon has set the bar high barely 2 months before the kick-off of the tournament. Rene Kache accompanied them and filed in the following reports from CRTV Littoral in Douala.
The 8 delegations were split in 2 groups, accompanied by some CAF officials. Group 1, comprising of Pool B teams, notably Congo, Niger, the DR Congo and Libya, first visited the Japoma Stadium. Dazzled by the magnificent and aesthetic structure, the team officials did not hesitate to immortalize their presence on one of Africa's very best, with snapshots and videos. Then a guided tour within and out of the stadium, as well as to its 2 training fields. There was also a meticulous check at the different hotels reserved for Group B teams, notably Sawa Hotel for Libya and Congo, Onomo Hotel for the DR Congo, and Rabinga Hotel for Niger. Group C teams began their reconnaissance visit at the new look reunification stadium, where they expressed satisfaction with the turf.
I am very satisfied about what I see this morning, especially about the training fields and also the main stadium. I think that we have the condition to play good football and to practice good football.
The teams were more concerned on when finishing touches on the different access roads into the stadium will be concluded. They were assured all will be fine before the arrival of their teams for the tournament. Niger and Togo, however, proposed that more water be sprayed on the Bonamoussadi and Bapelepe stadia in order to render them more usable. The delegations also expressed satisfaction with what they saw, adding that Cameroon has set the bar very high, less than 2 months before the CHAN.
That ends the news. But before we leave you, the election of mayors is taking place all over Cameroon as from today. We discovered the mayors of Bafoussam 1, 2, and 3 at the same time that ELECTONS was meeting in another session as of right in